We're live.
I think we are. Well, this is great. Alan, it's just you and I for now, but the co-founder and accountant and all-round triathlon superstar that is MMA is going to be joining us in a bit. And she's out for her daily exercise currently, but she's going to be jumping on the call, and which is brilliant because we get to ask her all of the difficult questions that she's been answering on a daily basis about self-employed people, about people that are directors of their own company. And she's got a really interesting perspective on furlough and what that means and the other support that's out there for companies. And she's been right at the sharp end of that. So it's brilliant that we've got me on. I think you'll notice that my background is slightly different than last time. I just wanted to point out that this is what the Pop-Up Business School looked like about 4 weeks ago. And this is what it looks like now. So we are sort of coping with our new reality. And I think that was one of the things that we were going to chat about tonight. So the plan for this evening is we're going to share some of our thoughts and experiences, both in terms of our personal lives and about coping with what's going on at the moment. But we're going to pivot quite quickly into the business. What's the new reality for us as a business and how have we responded to that? And also we're going to have a little look about certainty and about when things are uncertain and we feel like we need some certainty in our lives. Where do we go and hunt for it? How do we get it? And how do we get ourselves in the right headspace to get creative and start solving the problems, which is really tough to do when you're feeling a little bit anxious about what's happening around us. And the world's shifting and the world's changing. So before I pass over to Alan, who I know has got some stuff to share about the new reality, because things have been moving very fast in your lives as well as it has everyone else's, Alan. Please like this post. Please tag your friends and family that either have small businesses or are self-employed, and please share it, because what's happening over the next few weeks is that we are starting to ramp up the content engine, and we're going to be having a daily schedule of stuff that's going out specifically designed to help people. We're getting a whole bunch of experts in, as well as sharing our own knowledge and experience. So please like, comment, share, tag the folk that you think might get some value from this. And frankly, just a chance to take a different spin and a different look into what's happening in the world and how we might navigate our way through the choppy waters. That's probably won't be my last dodgy metaphor of this evening. Alan, what's the new say again?
We've actually got this live stream seems to be a collection of all my favorite people in the world, Simon. I don't know if you've seen who's watching.
I haven't.
There's Katie Coombs, Teresa Allen, Jackie Marsh, Alex Mead, James Headspeeth, Russell, Kathy Goff is watching. Hello, Kathy. And Ben Peralt from the USA.
Hi, Ben.
Seems to be everyone has tuned in, which I'm very happy. Hello to everyone. And actually, so let's talk current reality. Simon was the one that actually introduced me to this tool called Current Reality. And it's something he used to do at the beginning of every collaborative session that he ran, was he would get the companies to go through what's our current reality, what's great about life, and what's not working so well. And I think the first step to change is realizing where you are and what restrictions you've got. And I think that settling into the reality of life that has just happened to us is something that we all need to do right now. So it's checking in, going, okay, current reality. Yes, I'm stuck at home. I have time to do all the yoga I could ever want. I'm focusing on this. I love this. I hate this. This is great. This is not so good, and I would do anything to change that. But it's that realizing what your reality is, I think, is one of the most important things any of us can do. And to adjust to it, you have to acknowledge it.
I think that's an excellent point. And I learned that brilliantly from Miles, my last boss. And I think the reason that we were doing the current reality before you go and solve the problems was that, and I sort of liken it to Lisa. So Lisa runs a business up in Bolton, and I saw a message on the post that I did earlier on, and she was kind of going, look, how are we going to work this out? This is tough. This is really, really tough. And I think there is the risk that when you're trying to solve problems, that if you come at it with a sort of fingers in your ears, la, 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 everything's fine, we can come up with some new ideas and the world is great, it doesn't feel right. And there's something that's missing. And that's because we've not allowed ourselves the chance to say how we feel about the good stuff and say how we feel particularly about the problems and the challenges. So it's almost like you've got to get that stuff out of the way first before you can kind of galvanize yourself, your team, or your family around what the problem is, and then start solving it. So yeah, I think, and we did a little bit of that today. In fact, we've been doing that over the last couple of weeks with the team. And it's not an easy thing to do because sometimes it sounds a little bit scary, but it's almost
sometimes
like,
it's painful.
Yeah, but we can't go and solve the problems until we know exactly where we are and how we feel about where we are too.
And I think this tool that we're talking about works as well for relationships, for your family, for your business. And I would suggest you actually do this with your family. Okay, so what's the current reality? Well, we're stuck in the house. We can't go out for more than X. We've got to do this, this, and this. And acknowledging those real factors is going to help the whole family to become more comfortable with it. Then it doesn't become something we just don't talk about and we suppress. One of the things that I hate most about the British culture is the suppression of problems and emotions, and we just don't talk about it. But talking about what's real and talking about what is happening to us and our feelings is so important to get through it. So important.
I love that. So I've got a couple of messages to check in on the thread before we move on. And I think Emma May is going to join us very shortly. She's, if you missed the start, she's the co-founder of an accountancy firm in Wokingham called Millward, May & Co. Emma is our accountant. She's been with us since the start. And really looking forward to chatting with Emma. And she's got great perspective and great insights on the problems facing self-employed, on the problems facing businesses and company directors and employees too. She's looking at it from both sides. So if you've got any questions, Emma, about your business and about the support that's available, if you need something explained, please stick your question in the thread underneath, and then we'll do our best to get Emma to answer the question. And I know that she's about to join us, so we might get a random bing bong any moment and shortly. Emma particularly loves difficult questions about furlough and government support available. So save your best questions for her, and I'm sure that she won't mind answering. So a question from Kerry Barton. Alan, what's the Post-it notes on the wall? Are they clean? Can you share them?
Yeah, the Post-it notes are on the wall are actually from a virtual games evening that we had with my friends Kathy, Jane and Jamie this weekend. This was, my wife is a statistician at heart. So she did some calculations as who had the most Facebook friends, who had Facebook friends in common, how many years and days we'd known each other. And she gave us a quiz. And we've got part 2 of the quiz this Saturday night, I think, unless we're on a plane back to England. So we've been doing our best in the Donegan household to connect with friends, have games, and keep mood and energy on the high.
Beautiful. We've got James and Alex from the team. Evening, guys. Kelly and Joanne, great to see you on here. And Caitlin as well. Caitlin is head of healthy snacks for the whole of London, and she is my healthy snack dealer. And actually, I need to call you because the stuff that you got me was brilliant. That's for sure. Teresa, thank you for your lovely message. And Thank you for your support as ever. I promised to email you. I haven't forgotten you. Emily, so Emily has commented that the problem as humans is that we need time to adjust to our current reality, which we can totally do given time and space. But the problem facing self-employed business owners is that there isn't time, and it's a real push and pull. What does that make you think, Alan? The challenge of, I need time to get my head around the shock of what's going on, but my business doesn't allow me to take too much time out. I need to get on and make stuff happen. What are your thoughts on that?
It's actually, so one of the challenges, but also one of the good things, is the speed of reaction to these things and how much processing time you have got for it. Now, Simon was joking with my wife, Katie, about the pressure earlier that I put on us to do things. But the key here is the processing time. And what I'd recommend to everyone listening, and what I'm doing, is journaling through it, writing about what's happened, and laying out my thoughts as best as I can. Once I can get my thoughts out on paper, I can analyze them, I can look at them, I can float above them and see which ones help me, which ones don't. Then it's about the speed of reaction. And the speed of reaction is the key bit here. Simon was telling the story of us in the early days, and we had an idea for a TV show called Job Centre Millionaires. And by the time we'd had the idea, I think I'd already pitched it to the DWP and several other people. But you're going to have to react quickly. And I think, rightly or wrongly, it's the people who react quickly to this and take action that are going to survive the most. The people who are slow to this and sit around waiting, they're going to be in trouble. And I think change is inevitable. And unfortunately, the pace of change is going quicker and quicker and quicker. And it's how we respond to it. And I think...
Very nice.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Simon, that there's a couple of comments about people drying up buying online. Linda Robinson says she's got loads of stock, but nothing's shifting. And then we had another comment from Kate saying her sales have dried up. Are people scared of receiving stuff online, i.e. getting it sent to them? And then Ben said, how can we stand out and offer services online with so many people going online right now and so much being offered for free? And I think this is the speed of change. Things are changing by the day. In the first week, people were buying shed loads of stuff online. By today, people have stopped buying stuff online and things have changed. And it's how quickly we respond to that, I think, is the key bit here. It's how quickly we respond. And in some ways, there is no right answer. It's just about doing something.
I think, so the thoughts that those questions, so Ben's question about standing out and Linda talking about the stock and Kate saying, are people scared of receiving? Those things have reminded me of some thoughts that I've been going through and that we've been going through as a business. I think just to talk to Emily's comment. So Emily runs the business that I mentioned with Lisa, A Small Good Thing up in Bolton, just a phenomenal business. And I know that you guys would have had to close the shop maybe, or maybe you've been able to keep it open, but struggling to get the volume of sales through. I'd love to find out how you've pivoted so far. But your comment, Emily, reminded me of the very first mistake that I made when I started my first business in 2003, is that I thought that because I was self-employed, I had to do everything myself and I had to solve all of these problems myself. And actually, what I could have done and should have done was galvanize the team of people around me, whether that's my friends, my family, people on this thread, people in the PopUp Business School sort of support team, people that are in our support group and so on, is to ask for help. And speaking of asking for help, we have a new genie that's arrived. Alan, thank you for rubbing the lamp.
Hello.
Emma, are you able to put your device in landscape rather than portrait? Let's do that first. If it works.
It's going to be a bit of a challenge, isn't it? How would I do that?
Can you
Don't
just
worry.
turn your phone sideways? Are you on your phone?
I'm on my iPad. Let me
Ooh.
just.
Will it just turn?
I can do. Let me try.
Yeah, that's it. Jack will be very happy.
Cool. Oh, can you see me now?
We can.
Yes.
We can see. Yes.
Excellent.
Beautiful. I think if you
Thanks.
were sorry, this is my fault. If you'd have moved just 1 foot to the left, we could turn the light on every time you had a new idea, and it would be right over your head, Emma. There we go. So, Emma, thanks for joining us. So this is Emma, everybody. Emma is from Millward, May & Co. She started that business. She's a co-founder, but she's also our accountant that's been with us since the beginning. And Emma's been massively helpful to us, sharing her knowledge and understanding of the support that's been offered by the government, both for businesses, business owners, and self-employed people. And we've had a couple of questions posted in the thread already, Emma. You'll be delighted to know
Throw me
that.
right in.
Yeah, for sure. No, I'll give you some thinking time. But I asked everyone to save your most difficult questions for Emma.
Great.
Because I'm clearly not able to answer them with the same panache and confidence. So just before, I'll give you a bit of time to settle in, Emma. Welcome. Just talking to a couple of the points that have been raised in the group, and I'm probably going to trigger a thought in Alan here. So just to recap, the biggest mistake I made with my first business was that I thought I had to do everything myself. And if there's ever a time to reach out to people, ask for help, ask for advice, ask for support, ask them to do things, sitting at home is an absolute army of intelligence, an army of people with social media at their fingertips. There's only so many Netflix box sets that you can watch. Let's see if we can get friends and family and neighbors supporting small business and helping you guys get through this next bit. And I know that Emily and Lisa have got a hugely supportive customer base. And before I hit you with points 2 and 3, have I triggered a thought, Alan?
Well, I think that's one of the things I love most about the British culture is we want to help each other. And I think that spirit of coming together is what we all need right now. And we're actually doing it really, really well. So yeah, if your business is struggling, let's speak to friends. Let's talk to people. Let's ask. Let's ring people. And I tell you what, if there was ever a time that you wanted to get someone on the phone, now is that time. The most successful.
I think that's really important. We've noticed that having phone conversations with clients is definitely helping them and reassuring them. And just listening to their problems in terms of not being able to kind of make sales or struggling and not knowing how they're going to pay their overheads. Just having someone to listen and provide help and guidance goes a long way. So
yes, and I think you could even stretch further. If there's someone that you've always wanted to get on the phone that you thought would be good for your business, they're probably not doing anything for the next 2 months. And there has never been a time like this where people are free. If you want to get someone on the phone, ring them now.
Unless they work in the NHS.
Yes.
When do not ring them now.
Sure. Okay, there's a few accountancy questions coming in through. So if you've got any questions about furlough, about what you may be entitled to from the government in terms of the support package for COVID-19 that's come out, then Emma will do her best to answer. And Emma's one of those folk that if she doesn't know the answer, she'll find out for us.
I will do, yeah. So if I don't know, I will have a look and post it in the chat later.
Thank you. A couple of thoughts before we dive into those accountancy questions. So Emily's replied to some of the comments I was saying about getting people to help. And I think she's saying that we've closed the shop for general public, but offer a pre-order and collect system along with deliveries. And it's gone from being a lovely customer-focused, chatty business to a logistical nightmare that needs lots of online systems to survive. Anyway, thanks for this. The live streams are really useful. So I think that reminds me of done is better than perfect. And if we need to revert to emailing a PayPal link out to customers rather than relying too much on e-commerce, maybe that's something that you could do. Maybe there's another way around it. I bet some of your customers would just transfer money straight into your bank because those are the kind of folk that you've got in the community up in Bolton, which is awesome. I think just a couple of thoughts, and I'll go back to Alan because I know I'm about to trigger a thought for him. You know, for those that are thinking, like Ben's question, how do you stand out in a busy online world? And Linda's got lots of products, and Kate's saying, "Oh, people even want to receive stuff in the post now." This reminds me of, it's almost like in our own business, we've wrestled with this. How do you stand out in a busy world where everyone and their mum, dad, cat, dog, and their dog's puppies are online trying to make stuff happen? So what's the tactic? And I always go back to the beginning, and we're saying actually in our own business, it feels like we're in startup mode again because the future's not set and we're creating it in real time. And that takes me back to the basics, which are all about focus. So focusing on what's the one product or the one service that you can offer, who is the customer that's most likely to buy it, and if that customer exists in your network, friends and family, neighbors, people on your Facebook, you're not your real friends, your Facebook friends too, and focus on like one thing to one target customer and do 100 times more promotion than you think you need to. Because I bet when someone's seen your posts, Kate, about those awesome craft kits that you're putting together, once they've seen you online 15 to 20 times over the next couple of weeks, you may find their propensity to buy has been unlocked. And I think what usually happens is that people don't take enough bold action to promote what they're doing out of fear, because we're scared. What if it doesn't work? What if people are judging me because I'm still running my business during this time? What do you think to that, Alan? How do you get around that stuff of, you know, who do you focus on? Should you focus? What's the size of the action that you need to take to promote?
The size of the action to take to promote is normally about 20 times more than you imagine it is. And you're exactly right. Going back to startup mode, we have a reasonable sized business, and it just evaporated. So we are starting again and making up new stuff and going from the beginning. And we've got to get out there and shout about it. And actually, we were having this chat in the team today. Our next mission is to sell an online course version.
That's the Hungarian version. If you sign up for the Hungarian pack, you get a course. The English version is just a course.
Thank you. We'll be selling that to councils and housing associations around the UK. And actually what we need to do is email every single one of them, ring every single one of them, and work to do what we do to help people. And you've got to go back to the beginning. So I guess my question to the audience is, how many phone calls are you making a day? How many emails are you sending a day? How many Zoom calls? How many messages? How many direct messages? It's the size of the marketing effort. And people say size isn't important, but in marketing, it makes a difference.
Yeah.
Well, there's a new piece of content that I've not heard you say before. Jack's making the meme behind the scenes as we speak.
And I feel it's also, I guess it takes a while to get going, but once you kind of get a few customers and you get a few recommendations and it starts rolling. So we found that when we started up 5.5 years ago, to get our first client was a massive thing. But then after a while, it snowballs because they recommend you to people, and then you put your name out there a bit more on the internet and you get reviews, and that's how you your business snowballs. So I'd say the first year is the hardest bit, and especially at this time when the economy is so uncertain, it's doubly hard. So yeah, just keep at it.
It's exponential. You put all this energy in, nothing happens. You get 1, you get 2, you get 4, you get 8, and then all of a sudden it takes off. But sometimes you have to push and give energy for 3-6 months before that happens. You're exactly right. Simon, should we get into the accountancy questions? We have this incredible...
This is more fun. Let's
just before we do... Let's liven the show up with some finance questions, everybody. I think before we dive into that, I just wanted to find out from you, Emma. I just wanted to ask, so you run a business, and I just wanted to find out what it's been like for you over the last few weeks, and what does the certainty versus uncertainty look like for for you, and how are you guys responding with all the changes and so on?
Yep. So like any business, we've been faced with quite a bit of uncertainty. We're in a fairly stable, kind of what's the word? Type of business. So accountancy is generally, everyone needs an accountant. But then the impact on our clients has been quite significant. So we've got clients in the events industry who don't have any events for the next 3 months at least. We have built a lot of builders and tradesmen who have to just down tools and stop work immediately. So the impact on us is quite significant, because if our clients can't work, then we don't have any clients eventually. So so that's a scary thing for us. That I think the thing we're doing, I guess, is trying to support our clients. So communicating with them clearly about the different options that are available to them, so the different government funding that's available to both employees and self-employed, and also having conversations with them. As Alan said, that's the key thing, I think, just making sure that you give them a call and reassure them that we're here for them if they need to chat, or if for example I don't know, for whatever reason they can't afford to pay certain things, then we can kind of give them options as to what we'd suggest, and help them maybe with some forecasting or something like that. So that's the key thing. The impact on our team has actually been, it's not been a negative one. It's actually, I feel like we're bringing some positives away from it. We've actually kind of launched remote working, so we're all using Microsoft Teams, and we're actually finding that really efficient at the moment. And I think the team are really enjoying working from home, and we're able to kind of connect using Zoom or Microsoft Teams, which is helping. And we're just thinking about different ways of working. So it's actually could be quite a positive thing for us in the long term, but obviously it's quite uncertain at the moment and challenging for our clients. So I just feel that the last 2 weeks I've just been fielding calls from clients, when March is normally a nice quiet time for me, and I normally get away and get a bit of a holiday. So that's the only thing that I missed out on.
No such luck. No such luck. So look, we've got a question for let's start you off gently. There's a question from Kelly Harlin. Hi to Jolene, by the way, and to Kate watching. Question from Kelly is, can I ask a question for Emma, please? I only started my business on December the 18th. From what I've read, I'm unable to benefit from any government support. Is this correct? My understanding of it is that they are basing it on the tax year 18-19 contributions.
Yes, that is correct, unfortunately. And that's one of the pitfalls of this scheme. If she's self-employed, which I presume she is, she didn't say that, but it sounds like she is, and she's not a director of a limited company. So if she's self-employed as a sole trader, then unfortunately she doesn't qualify for the grant that the government have issued. They say that's based on the 2018-19 tax year profits. Anyone who started trading in this tax year, which is 2019-20, so from April 19 to March 20, they won't be eligible for the grant. What she can apply for, unfortunately, is just the universal credit or the employment support allowance that's available to anyone who's not working. But unfortunately, that's quite a small amount compared to what you might get with the grant.
Yes,
cool,
it's a very small amount. They've removed the minimum income floor to make it more accessible.
They have, yeah.
Actually a very small amount, but it's kind of the best we've got. It's not great, but take it. Take every penny you can.
It's not great, and I can understand why they've done it, because you need to be able to prove that you've been trading and that you've made a profit, and how do you prove that otherwise, because your tax return's not yet due. But it is unfair. Well, it seems to be unfair on people that have just started the business, and maybe they were doing well for 6 months, 9 months, and now they've got no income. So yeah, it does seem a bit unfair. But...
Similar question from Joanne, slightly different, but it crosses over into the same thing. So it's a little bit about benefits advice here, which I know isn't our area, but let's answer the bits that we can and see if we can find out the bits that we can't. So as self-employed, do your income streams have to have dried up completely, in effect, ceasing to trade, or can the HMRC claim be a top up to low income? if you get the self-employed support from HMRC, can you still be eligible for universal credit if below the UC threshold? Can you not apply for HMRC and claim UC, or you'll be expected to claim after that? So there's lots of sort of bits that are weaving in that. What do you take from that, Emma?
The first point, I've actually read that this self-employed grant, you can actually still trade as a sole trader with the grant, as long as you can prove that your trading profits decreased as a result of the coronavirus. So as long as you've been impacted by it and your profits are down, you can still continue to trade and get the grant. How they're going to check that, who knows? But the detail, has not been announced yet.
Emma, is that taxable as well? Sorry, just on that thing.
Yes,
is the grant taxable? So it's
yes.
classed as income, right?
It will be classed as income, so you'll need to declare it in your tax return as a self-employed on your self-assessment tax return for 1920 or 2021.
Just Alan, on the benefits side of things, if you're faced with in the 5% that they've described of people that have started their business, since April 19, I spoke to Zubair today, who was just starting his business about 6 weeks ago. That's when he decided to start. So bless him for that. So for those folk that don't qualify for the support currently, and you've got options, haven't you? You go, I've either got to go and get a job. If I'm lucky enough to have a financial runway, I might be able to cut back my expenses and ride it out. But for someone that's looking at benefits as an option, what would be your view, Alan, on that? Because I know it's a tough thing to do for many people.
I've got mixed feelings about this. The benefits, we've all been paying our national insurance, and we've been paying into this system that is designed to catch us when we need it. And the DWP lady I spoke to, Caroline, she's incredible. She was saying, like, if you've lost your job, if you lost your income and you're not being caught by these other buckets, you need to take it. And it's not ideal. It's probably going to hurt your pride a bit, but we need to do it. And at emergency times like this, take the cash, let's get on with it, let's survive, and then you can come back stronger. I think what these schemes aren't meant to do is kill your innovation and kill your progress. However, sometimes that can get caught up in this and stop you doing anything. And we've been having that discussion at PopUp very recently. There is the job retention scheme where we can furlough our staff members, but then they can't do any work. So we can't set things up for when the bounce comes back. And actually the side effect of some of these schemes is to kill progress and creativity, but that's not their purpose. They're meant to help support you. And I think you've got to take them as the best you can, take the money where you can, and then just get ready on the side, ready to go again.
That's it. I think with the furloughing, I think you'd only want to furlough staff if you ultimately have to, if you don't have any work for them to do. If you're in a position where that you could put them onto something that's more productive and you could keep them going, then I would probably choose to do that than furlough them personally.
So question from Rachel Flack. So Rachel has said, I'm a sole director of a company that works with schools. My income disappeared at the start of March, but I'm still running my website as schools use it for resources. I don't get any money from this, but does it stop me from accessing the job retention scheme if she still runs the thing? So I guess, would it make a difference if she was on PAYE from that company, Emma, if she was an employee of her own company, do you think?
So with the job retention scheme, directors can apply for the scheme. They will get the 80%, but it will only relate to the salary that they take, and they do have to have a PAYE scheme in place as of the end of February to qualify. So as long as she has a PAYE scheme at the end of February and she's taking a salary from there, then she potentially could apply for this job retention scheme. It won't apply to any dividends that she takes from the company. So unfortunately, that is another area where directors will lose out if they've been taking a small salary and the rest in dividends, like most directors do. The thing about working, this scheme is supposed to be for those directors who can no longer work through the business. Now, the government haven't really clarified what that means. There's different interpretations. So some places I'm reading that it has to be, if they're generating revenue, then they can't obviously apply for the scheme. What if they're doing admin work or invoicing, or not invoicing, but just doing their bookkeeping or doing other bits, how does that affect it? And I think the consensus is that if they're just doing a bit of admin and kind of running the business, or just keeping the business ticking over, then that should be fine. But we haven't yet had clarification from the government on that, and I don't expect we'll have that until the actual portal is up and running and we can apply for it.
Yes, I love it. They've sort of sold before they've created this, haven't they? They've kind of gone, done is better than perfect. They've been reading the pop-up principles of how to start a business, and they've launched this scheme without actually having finished it, which, but we are in such a good position compared to so many other countries. I guess it's just such a challenge for those people that are falling between the stalls of support that are existing. I guess I'm just looking down at some of the other questions here that I'm going to come back to Kerry's question. I've got a similar one from Caitlin, head of Healthy Snacks for the whole of London. So Caitlin says, thanks in advance for your help, Emma. I love that.
Oh,
so she's thanking you for something.
I haven't given my advice.
Which means you need to deliver now, because she's already said thank you. This is an excellent tip for those people that are doing email marketing. You are more likely to get your email opened if it has thanks in advance at the end of it. Anyway, so I am a freelance PR consultant set up as a limited company, and she's a director, but because of a back injury, she's been off work for numerous months. Icing on the cake or not is that with the upcoming brackets now cancelled IR35, March the 5th, I gave up my accountants and seized, I love that, the company PAYE scheme, right? So 1 week later, we are where we are. So question, do I need to immediately unseize the PAYE scheme? What is this furlough? And can you smoke it? She didn't put that, I added that bit. Will I be included in the June payments? Is there any financial assistance outside of universal credit that's not a loan? So that's actually quite a complex one. It's is there anything that you can share with Caitlin now to talk to that, and maybe we can follow up in the comments afterwards?
The only thing I'd say is that if she had a POA scheme at the end of February, and then has since stopped it, then potentially she could reinstate it. I'm not sure on the technicalities on that, but I do know that where you've made someone redundant, and they were on the payroll in February, then you can still apply for the furlough and kind of reinstate them as such. So potentially that will apply to directors as well. So if she was on the payroll at the end of Feb, then potentially that could apply. I think you can reinstate a payroll scheme, but it just takes a bit of admin, and I'm not sure how long that will take. But again, that the government guidance hasn't been detailed enough to kind of answer that in full, unfortunately, at the moment. But it's something that we can kind of keep an eye on. What was the second part of the question?
The second part of the question, I'm going to hand over to Alan in a moment to see if anything's caught his eye. But I think the second part of the question was about, do I need to immediately unseize the PAYE scheme? And what's the furlough bit of it? How does that actually work? And will she be included in the June payments?
So if she stopped work because of the coronavirus, then she could apply for the 80% based on her February payroll. So if she was an employee at the end of Feb, then she should go ahead and try and unseize the payroll scheme and apply for it that way.
Great. So please tag your friends, family, neighbours, colleagues, and their cat in these posts, because we're starting to ramp up our support. We've got a survival guide, which is full of free content that we're building in real time to help people navigate through the choppy waters of all of this stuff. So thank you for those people that have already shared and tagged people. Really much appreciated. We had, I think, one of our best ever weeks on Facebook last week in terms of people engaging with our stuff. And, you know, we've just set out to help as many people as we can with this stuff. So please help us continue that. That's great. A quick hello before I say over to Alan, to Chad from the California Mafia. Look, some of these conversations are about, he's not actually in the Mafia, by the way. Some of these conversations are about, today, are about UK law and the UK government support. But we have lined up a couple of US experts that we're going to invite on this live stream, and maybe make some videos with, as well as Emma and her team, so that we can answer some of the American questions that are coming through as well. And yeah, Alan, Henry's watching. Hello, Henry. Hello, Steve Murray. Kelly says, thank you for the advice. Matt Esley, head of carpentry and wood for the whole of the South, is watching. Clive, head of food production for Wales. Amy Howe, Brimo's watching, which is great. And Sophia Sham from the Bristol Mafia is on here as well. So, Alan, what's caught your eye, Alan?
That's a very broad question. What's caught my eye?
Thread. In the Facebook thread, not who. Well, I guess, like, you know, is there a question that's caught your eye, or is there a sort of a train of thought that's been triggered by some of the questions and answers that we've had so far?
So actually, there's two broad activities that are going on at the moment, and one is protection, and one, for want of better term, is expansion or going out there. And a lot of what we've been talking about is replacing what has gone, protecting ourselves with benefits, furloughing staff, all those activities of, you know, let's put the sandbags up, let's protect ourselves, let's get through this. And that is great and important. And we must remember to look at the expansion bit as well, because it's not just about protecting what's gone, it's about building something different for the future. And that is exactly what we've been talking about at PopUp. We could, with our team, furlough everyone, throw up the sandbags, close the business, and wait for all this to pass. But is that going to set us up for the future? Is it going to help people? Is it going to make a difference? I would say no. And actually, we've been working on the decision today, and the decision we've taken is to not furlough the team, but actually to go full on out there and work to sell the online version. And we are rolling the dice. We're taking a risk. But that expansion work, that progressive work, is equally as important. And I just wanted to say to everyone who's watching today, yes, we need to focus on replacing what we've lost, and we need to focus on going out there and getting more of what we want.
And it's kind of a good opportunity for you guys, because you've been so busy that now you can actually get around to some projects that you've kind of had on the back burner that you've wanted to do, but you haven't had time. So actually there might be some businesses in your position where they've got a whole long list of to-do lists, and then actually they've got time now to do those things. Yeah, it could be a good thing for you guys, but yeah.
A quick question about outside of the virus stuff for a second. A question from Russell down in Kent, head of electricity testing. That's why we call him Pat Test. Russell's asked just some thoughts on what do you think is the best accountancy program for a small business? And when I hear the words best, my head hears free. Russell may not want free. You might have a different view. For a sole trader, or for a small business that's doing electricity testing, for example. Or maybe Russell's asking for someone else, but what would your thoughts be? Where would you go these days? Because it does change over time, of course.
It does depend on the type of business and how many employees they have, whether they're a contractor, whether they're a bigger business. But generally, there are three main bookkeeping softwares that we use, so cloud bookkeeping softwares. So the first one is Xero, which is really good for, I'd say, not bigger than one-man bands. So people with businesses with employees, where you want to maybe report by different kind of categories. You want a bit more kind of a bit more detailed reporting, basically. It's a really good tool, and yeah, we use Xero and we love it. Then I would recommend Free Agent as well for smaller one-man band contractors, because it's really intuitive and easy to use, and it just kind of, yeah, it works basically. And then the other one we use is QuickBooks, which can be useful for I wouldn't recommend it necessarily all the time for contractors, but some people get on with it, some people don't. It just depends what you like. So yeah, they're the three main ones that we use. But yeah, I love Xero because the reports are great. But I'm a bit of a geek.
Alan, you did it off of spreadsheets for a few years with accounting. Would you, if you were starting again, would you go back to that?
Well, I don't think legally you can now. I think at some stage we all have to be online, and Emma probably knows this better than I do. But when's the date where we all need to be using cloud-based software?
So for VAT registered businesses who are earning, so where their turnover is over £85,000, you have to be on digital software. There are some workarounds, so you can use a spreadsheet and put it into a bit of software which links into HMRC, but it's just why would you do that when the software is great, because you can submit the VAT returns through the software, and it actually will save you a lot of time using a bit of software rather than spreadsheets. So yeah, we try and steer people well away from spreadsheets. Even the smaller clients, we try and get on kind of one of the softwares. There's a really good bit of so Free Agent is actually is currently free for the lifetime of the client if you set up a business bank account with NatWest. So we often recommend that because you might as well do it. You know, if you're going to have it, you have to have a business bank account anyway for a limited company. So yeah, why not do that? So that's one we kind of recommend quite a lot of the time, but Xero is great for bigger businesses. So yeah.
Cool. Thank you very much.
Did you see the comment from Vicky Preston, Simon?
No,
She said, "Oh my goodness, I'm watching financial advice. Does that mean I need to pop my grown-up hat on and sort out my paperwork and work on my accounts?" And she said, "I've been given a QuickBooks disc." Are you talking about a CD that you could in a computer? Didn't they go out in the 90s?
Yeah. That's probably quite old, I reckon. Steer clear from that. Yeah.
You've got to download it, Vicky. I think you've got to download it.
It's all right in the bin now.
But it's actually one of the most important bits that I've let go a few times. In the early days, I was very good. I tracked everything, and I had a spreadsheet for expenses, a spreadsheet for income. I tracked all the receipts. But then I didn't have many customers in those days, so I had a lot more time to be geeky. But then I got customers, and I was actually making money and doing work, and that stuff got left behind. And the longer you leave it, the worse it gets. So it's actually really important to do this stuff as you go. Vicky says the disc is actually from 2012, so it's only 8 years old. They've probably got an updated version, Vicky, maybe version 2.0.
The beauty of online bookkeeping software is you do not need a disk. It's all on the cloud, so get rid of those disks.
Right, one word answer, Emma. One word answer to answer Linda's question. The best cloud software for a sole trader selling furniture, your best guess would be?
Selling furniture. I'll probably use Free Agent.
You've used
Free Agent.
7 words in your answer, not one, but Free Agent is Xero. Xero is probably a sledgehammer and a crack a nut for that, wouldn't it be?
Xero is good. The only reason I say that is free agent's a bit more affordable for startups. Xero is a bit pricier, so QuickBooks is kind of reasonably priced. It depends who. If you go for an accountant, you can get a good discount for QuickBooks. But yeah, if you're on price, then free agent does the job. But yeah, Xero is probably the better one if you want to be growing your business in the future as well, because you don't really want to be switching software. So if you think you might grow and you might get employees and revenue might increase, then yeah, maybe go with Xero.
Great stuff, thank you. Russell's been emailing future potential customers and previous customers and has got 4 lined up so far. So he's taken the action to take advantage of the fact that people's premises are empty. No better time to do electricity testing when all the buildings are empty. It's quite an interesting approach. I love that. Chad's generously given us an idea. And thank you, Jamie, for your comment. Appreciate that. Trevor started out with nothing and he's still got most of it left. And he also said he's in the same position that he was at the start. He didn't have any customers before the virus and he hasn't got any now either. So Trevor, I guess the only way is up, as they say. I guess there was 1 or 2 other things that caught my eye. There was a question actually from, I think it was Kerry. I need to go back to that. Kate says she needs to do more videos and push them more, but it's not easy with 2 kids. One who keeps flashing her knickers in the videos. These days are flying so fast. Kate, I completely understand that. I have a business partner that keeps flashing during our conference calls.
I'm glad I'm not on those. Oh, no.
See what I mean? Like, oh no, it's gone dark, everyone. Right, so
I'm gonna get tracked on Facebook.
Let's do another accountancy question. Hopefully, no one knows what just happened. Jack has literally just melted into his chair because he's going to have to edit this to put on the self-employment guide tomorrow. So look, well, that's getting a lot of love. So Kerry, again, another interesting question that's got lots of bits wrapped up in it, and I think I know some of the answer here, but I'm going to hand over to the experts and Alan's comments as well. Kerry is currently on Universal Credit. She's at university as well, doing a photography degree until June. She's also a self-employed photographer, and she's employed seasonally at a boot fair. Can I go furlough at the boot fair? And my guessing is that if you're employed seasonally, what do you think? Does it depend if you're PAYE? Because if she's not currently employed, if Kerry's not currently employed, yeah. Okay,
yeah.
so they wouldn't.
I think it only applies to PAYE. I think you can. There was something where you could. There would say you have 2 jobs and only one of them has furloughed you. Then you can get the furlough for that one job, as long as you don't fill your time doing, fill the spare time doing the other job, if you see what I mean. So yeah.
So Kerry would need to go back to that employer to ask the question, I guess, to see if they're on PAYE in the right time.
Yeah.
I guess that they've also Kerry's also said the plan is to open a photography studio in June. They're going to pay themselves a small wage at the start, and I'm guessing that they've got a bit of cash in the bank if, you know, they're thinking of opening a studio at this moment in time and paying a wage as well. And the question is, should they go limited and take a chunk out once a year? And I think Kerry's trying to juggle everything and go, what's the right thing to do? I want to launch my business during this time. Is limited company the right vehicle to do that? And, you know, is there a way of opening that photography studio, Alan, without spending any money?
So limited v sole trade is a common question that we get asked. Actually, we probably get asked that, you know, about 80% of our queries are, should I be limited or should I be sole trade? It really depends on your circumstances. You can't provide kind of an answer for a blanket answer. We actually have a really good blog on it on our website. So if you want, I can link that on the chat later on.
Yes, please.
And that kind of goes through the different things that you want to consider versus limited versus sole trade. The main thing is, I think the main advice that we give to people is, if you're just starting out, sole trade is easier and is less risky because you don't have to set up a company and have all the costs associated with that. So, and you can always convert to a limited company at a later date. So yeah, normally most people start as a sole trade and then potentially incorporate it maybe a year down the line or however long down the line.
Cool.
Yes, that's exactly how we did it. And sole trader is the simplest possible format to get going and the quickest and easiest. It's also the cheapest in general in terms of accountancy fees, set up, all of that stuff. So sole trader tends to be the way to start. If you think you're going to make a fortune in your first year of 100 grand plus, then maybe limited company is useful. But for most of us, that doesn't happen.
No.
PopUp has actually shared your blog in the comments right now. So you've got the company versus sole trader.
Oh, you found it already. That's impressive.
We found it. We've done it for you.
Yeah.
We have a team of 2,500 in Mumbai that are everything and responding in real time.
So we've had a message from Joanna, and actually it copies into a few people's messages as well. Thanos said something similar. Said, I'm a sole trader. I started trading July 2019, so I don't have a year's worth of books. Therefore, I cannot apply for the government self-employed help. And unfortunately, the answer to that is correct. And the government has kind of said, you're one of the 5% of people that have been left out of this. We don't have a way to work this out.
That's the same as the same as the person that earlier that said that they'd started in December. That unfortunately, they're the ones that have they've lost out on this, which is not ideal. But yeah, the government, I guess, had to draw the line somewhere, and that's what they've done. So universal credit, or I think there's a support allowance as well. Can't remember what it's called now, but yeah, they'd have to go through that stream, unfortunately.
Joanna actually says she doesn't qualify for universal credit. Is there anything else she can do? I would say, Joanna, just tell us why you think you don't qualify it, because that's something that you can argue with them and chat to them about. And is there anything else you can do? Now we're starting to get to the other side and we're wondering, okay, we can't get much support. We're going to have to focus on making money somehow. And there's rent deferral schemes, there's mortgage deferral schemes. None of them are great solutions. But we're going to have to start to brainstorm. And if you want to chat separately off the live stream, feel free to give us a call. We're happy to chat through your situation and give you a hand. We know this is a tough time.
Yeah, I guess can you think how can you diversify from your business? Can you do something a bit differently? If you're, say, I've got got a personal trainer on my books, so can they offer training courses online instead of face to face? That kind of thing. But then there must be some industries where you just that's just not possible. But try and think outside the box, I guess, a little bit.
Yeah, that's part of the challenge, isn't it? And I know that that Alan, our brilliant friendly yoga teacher that taught you and Katie how to do a headstand. I think my Facebook timeline was filled up with you two upside down first thing this morning, which I wasn't expecting, actually, I have to say. So Laura jumped in the pool, started doing some yoga sessions for her previous yoga customers that that her clients were coming along to yoga sessions in Newport, Wales. And she started doing those yoga sessions online a couple of days ago. And now some of the people that were in that live stream have asked if they can pay her for her time and asked for PayPal links and so on. So Joanna, your business is phenomenal. I don't know if some live stream sessions or video stuff would work for you, but I also know that you've done such an amazing job for your clients and customers. Maybe if you engage them in the conversation about how could you pivot this business and try something different. And I think the thought processes that I go through is, does the thing that I'm doing work in its original form in this climate? Yes or no? If the answer is no, it doesn't. The next question is, can I pivot? Can I adapt it? Can I try something different, like my yoga example? If the answer is no, it doesn't really work. I've asked my friends, my family, and my customers if I can adapt it and try it in a different way. Would it work? Would you pay for the service online? Could I deliver something, and so on? If that doesn't work, you know, based on my other business ideas and my entrepreneurial instincts and creativity, is there something completely different that I can hustle and start making money, you know, and doing something completely different to your core business? Maybe those customers that you've been selling to want something different. Maybe they've got other problems that need solving in this climate. That those insights could spark a new business idea. And at the end of all of that stuff, if you're still at a dead end and you go, I'm not sure, I can't come up with anything at the moment, then we've got the next option is we could go get a job. And there are, you know, I went through this conversation. If this happened 3 years ago, I'd be on my way to Tesco's or the NHS right now, or maybe back in the cops. Who knows? But I would have had to have done that. So that plus the UC options, if you don't qualify for UC, maybe there's an idea in there somewhere that might trigger a thought, you know, to help you kind of move on and try something different. Alan, is there anything in the comments that I know that Pop-Up Business School has apologized publicly for your nipples, which I think is the most unexpected Facebook comment of the year so far.
I also think that's quite inappropriate. My nipples do not need an apology. They are just there. I think we're a body positive company, and I am disgraced by that comment, and we will be having a disciplinary tomorrow with Jack.
Beautiful. Question from Christine. Emma, I did warn you.
Yeah.
You know better than anybody.
This.
Thank you all for your help. Christina said, my question to Emma is, as a limited company director, do I have to pay myself? Do I have to pay myself at the end of each month and then apply for the scheme when it's ready?
So yeah, you would have to run payroll. So you'd have to continue to run your payroll as you're currently doing. You could choose to pay yourself 80% if you're furloughing yourself. And then you'll run the payroll, and then you'll be able to reclaim the money once the government have got their act together and sorted this portal out. Probably not for, I'd probably say another month or two. But yeah, it's key that you do keep running the payroll scheme. What you could do is, if you don't have the cash in the business, you could effectively pay it out to your director loan account. So you don't physically pay out the money, you just kind of do an accounting adjustment to move it to your director loan account. So you could do that if you don't have the cash in the business, and then the grant should be paid back to the business, and then you can pay yourself the actual money once you got the money. Does that make sense?
Yes, I think so. Yeah. And let's find out. Hopefully that's answered your question, Christine. There's lots of ideas that people are sharing in the thread, which is brilliant. Thank you for everyone for your generosity. So Joanna's got about another 5 ideas to explore here. People's comments, and also advice for someone who sells food in an indoor in an indoor market, not a supermarket. Sorry. Any thoughts on how you might pivot that business if you've got a food stall in an indoor market? What do you do? How do you pivot that stuff?
A food store or an indoor market, you've got some challenges there. There's curbside pickup. There's can you put the packages out on the curb and line them up for people, which we've seen some businesses pivot to. There's delivery, there's essential services. Thanos is saying the markets had to be closed. So I'm guessing you don't even have access to the supplies and stock to be able to do this. This is where I get to the stage where I go, there's not actually many good options with this. We're going to have to go back to startup mode and come up with something else. And that's not always good, but it's pretty much what PopUp are having to do right now. Is we can no longer run events, and we're an event business. So we have to go, well, what else can we do? Everything we were doing has been closed down. Every way we earned money last year has been closed. we have to do something else. And I know that's not great, Thanos, but you've got to let go of what happened and we've got to work out what's next. And that's what we've got to do. So can we teach online? Can we sell recipes? Can we, kids homeschooling? Can you do home economics classes for kids where you teach them food and the cost of food online? I don't know. Let's brainstorm ideas. And my first ideas will be rubbish, but we just need to brainstorm ideas and change direction completely. And I think the more we focus on what we've lost, the more trapped we'll become by it. And the more we focus on what's next, the more empowered we will be to make progress. That's a long pause. Simon has disappeared.
Yeah. Simon's muted himself.
If you unmute, then people can actually hear you better. I understand that. I had a cracking conversation with myself though, which is great. Okay, so I think just looking at some of the comments that have come through, let's keep this thread going. And I think, you know, I've had a number of messages from people over the last couple of days talking about the application process for UC, for Universal Credit, and not being able to get through on phone lines, computers crashing and all that kind of stuff. When I spoke to someone in Job Centre Plus last week, he said that there was a 450% increase in applications and a 52% reduction in staff at the particular job centre that he was working at. So are properly under the cosh. And I think what we need to do is to get a pot of coffee and deep breathing, put on some soft music in the background, or maybe even a comedian, just to keep your tail up and have the tenacity to complete the process, because it will test us all. And I see Linda's comments. Linda, I completely understand where you're coming from. And I remember those conversations we had in Croydon with Alan a few years ago. It just because it was a complete nightmare then, it doesn't mean that it's going to be a complete nightmare now. Let's just take the now for what it is. And if you need some support and some help, you know, ask for it. And there's people in our support group. You can reach out to us and friends and family and neighbors and other businesses that are going through the same thing. That's what our survival guide on our website is designed for. That's what the support groups and this thread are designed for. People can share ideas exactly as you've been doing. And look, thank you everybody for your generosity. Thank you to Emma, who walked into a bit of a storm. I think it's fair to say there's some unexpected questions, some unexpected ideas, and some unexpected nudity.
Thank you for having me.
Cool. Alan, I just wonder, there's one thing that you always do really well, and that's when we come to the end of a little session, you've always got a closing thought. It's almost like a bedtime story from Alan. I wonder what closing thoughts are in your mind based on the chat that we've had tonight.
So I will give my closing thought, absolutely. Just before I do that, I would like to say Emma has been an incredible help to our business, and the support she's given us over the last few years since we set up a limited company has been phenomenal. I feel very lucky to have her as our accountant. And if you have questions, speak to her. She's excellent. Excellent.
Thank you, Alan.
It's a pleasure.
I've loved working with you guys. You're great fun. Yeah,
it's nice. We've seen both of our businesses grow together over the last 5-6 years, and it's been fantastic. So, right, closing thought. Just before I started my business, I went to the job centre as well, and I was on benefits. I was getting £56 a week for going to the job centre, and those trips sucked the life out of me, because you'd have to go in every 2 weeks, tell them what jobs you've been searching for, what was happening, and they sucked the energy out of me. The place was grey. It was in a 60s accountancy block. It was The people were grey. It smelt of alcohol and weed. It was just a horrible place, and it destroyed me emotionally. And I think we're going to have some times over the next couple of months where we are going to have to go through some of this stuff. And being successful is not about not having problems. It's about how you react to them. And what's changed for me over the years is I still get stuff that sucks the life out of me. It's how quickly you can bounce back and make progress on the next thing. So if you have to make that phone call to the job center, make it, and then I need you to change your energy, bounce back, and get on with the next bit. And I think it's the speed with which you can do that will affect your energy and your progress going forwards. So come up with a list of ways you can change your state and make that progress.
I told you you're good at this, didn't I? Thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you for everybody that's commented and shared ideas and tagged friends and so on. You may have got an email from us today. We've sent an email out, which is all about the survival guide that's on our website. That content is growing and growing and growing, and it's designed to give you the information and some inspiration and motivation to think, which direction do I need to head in yet and navigate through this little challenge that we're facing right now. So thank you, everybody, for your generosity and for watching, and we'll be in touch.